Good morning, guys. Sifu Tarbell here, Wuxia Martial Arts. Hope everybody's doing good. So the last 2 weeks, we've been taking a look at some different things that we can do when we're talking about the mid-level, when somebody is punching in and we make a connection with the mansao, whether that be inside or whether it was inside pushing to the outside. And then we also talked about if it was to the outside and how to go with the bangsao. So for the last part of our series here, what we're going to take a look at is the outside, right? But when the pressure doesn't push us across, like into a bangsao where we can do something, but actually when the pressure pushes outward a little bit, because sometimes they'll be here and sticking, and then it starts to slide out, which is a little bit dangerous. So I'm going to talk about how we can use this tansao, and then also add some trapping methodology and maybe connect some clinch in those things as well. Tansao is a very basic hand. It basically means palm up hand or dispersing hand. It's one of the main components we use for yielding to energy. So we're going to take a look at that today. So let's get started. All right, so first thing first is we're going to open up with a good character 2, just like that. And then from my wedge position, I draw back. So I have mansao, wuxia. And so wuxia should be about here, right? One hand away, definitely protecting your throat. Right, so a lot of people like to have the wuxia down, but I don't like that because the throat's always exposed. So this wuxia should always be very relaxed, but also protecting the throat. That's always number 1, right? There's a lot of things on your body that can get hit and you can maybe recover from that, but your throat is not one of those things. So we always want to have the wuxia here. And then from here, as I draw back, the mansao, right, the seeking hand is going to have a little bit of a bend here. It's about 70% extended. Right, it should never be fully locked out. So sometimes the students will do this thing, right, because they want to feel safe, and they'll lock that arm out completely so they can get a little bit more length and pick these things up sooner. But the problem with that is if somebody, like pulls your arm and you're fully extended and you don't have any type of play, or if they try to like lock your arm or something and it's already extended, you don't have the play to be able to keep your arm kind of nice and loose. So it's never good to have your arm completely extended. It should be about 70%. Okay, so with that said, we got a good character 2. We lined up mansao, wuxia. All right, and for today, what we'll do is we'll start where the mansao goes forward, like that, and then the palm turns, all right, and right away on the shift, because as I go forward, the punch starts to slide to the outside of my arm. So this is our 4th basic reaction. Remember, we have 2 inside, the jump sao, right? Inside pushing to the out is cow sao. Then 2 on the outside for the mid-level, right? Pushing to the outside across goes wang sao, and now pushing to the outside across the other way is going to be tong sao. So how do we set this up? So I go forward man sao, right? And I'm going to make the connection. Now when I start to feel the pressure, right? This is going to turn, and then I shift in my stance. Now when I'm shifting in my stance, right? I'm going to sink on that back leg like this. So I already have the adduction. I'm going to sink on that back leg and then punch at the same time. So careful to turn the feet one at a time, right? So not turning both feet at the same time. So I go forward, right? Pressure starts to come to the outside, right? So from here I shift, and you can see now when I see my punch, right? So if you're doing this in the mirror and you go forward, right, and now from here, you go palm up, like tansao, palm up hand, and then you start to shift, you're gonna see that backhand right there. The minute you see that backhand, boom, is the time that it should go forward. Now, this tansao, right, should be here, a nice V, and this is actually the position we start in the Sunim Tao. So when we start the Sunim Tao and we go Gao Cha, that means double crossed tansao, palm up hand. Right? If I were to go here and I shifted to one side in my Junma, my 45-degree stance, like that, and I pulled the other hand away, this is actually where we end up. So a common misconception is everybody wants to like really flex the hand down. But the problem with that is when we flex the hand down, all of the musculature and tendons and everything tend to get a little tense. Right? And we don't want that for tansao. Tansao should be a soft movement, like the bangsao, a soft movement with a little bit of structure. So I go forward, I make the tansao, the palm up hand, but I don't flex it down. You see that? And now from here, as I shift, I punch just like that. So let's take a look at it from this side. So left hand is forward. I go forward with the mansao to feel what's going to happen, right? If I can just hit, then I would just hit. But I'm going forward, and then I start to get some pressure. This punch goes over my arm this way, right? goes up, and then I shift and hit. And remember, as you're shifting, you'll see the punch. So when you do this in the mirror, you go 1, turn the palm up, start to shift, and then you'll see this hand, and then you go boom, like that. So the simultaneous nature of Wing Tsun, right, is going to occur here, right? Goes 1, and then as I shift, this is dispersing his energy, right? So this is a yin movement, right? It's a passive movement, and this is a yang movement, right? This is yang energy going forward, boom. So you have this yin and yang, just like that, right here. So here, left hand forward, I go up, turn the palm, shift, and I hit. All right, now this is very basic. So let's take a look at a couple different ways that we can add to this thing. So from here, I'm gonna start with my left hand forward, like this. And now I'm gonna step in and pop down, boom, like that. All right, now remember the last couple of weeks we talked about that maybe you started to do your hand, right? You started to like go forward and feel, okay, this is something and your body reacted naturally. But now the problem is when you go to do this, you're in this weird crossed up position, right? So as I go forward and I get a little bit of pressure, I'm gonna step back and then shift like that. And it's the same thing we've been doing, whether it be the jump cell, right? Whether it was the bong cell, right? Whether it was the cow cell, right? Pressure becomes a little bit too much and he connects into the body, right? Meaning that your arm wasn't able to just alleviate the pressure right away and it connects into your body, right? Well, then there's a chance for us to use the body. So I pop and punch. And now as I go Tsun Sao, because it starts to slide, I'm going to step back and shift and punch like that. All right, so again, left hand is forward. I step in and pop and punch. All right, I assume the hand, all right, palm up. And now I step back and turn and hit at the same time. And again, left hand forward, pop and punch. All right, palm up, step back, and shift and punch, just like that. Right. Left hand pops, right hand punches, palm up, step back, 1, 2. Now, the cool thing about this is that you don't really know what type of pressure you're gonna get, right? So even if I was just going forward with the punch, so you can train it this way as well, right? So maybe you go left hand and pop and punch, or maybe your right hand is forward and you just step in and punch, right? Maybe your right hand was back and you stepped in and punch, right? So however you get in, that's up to you, right? So from here, let's say that my right hand is forward and I step in and I pop and punch. Now it's the same thing. If I get pressure, I go palm up, shift and punch, right? Maybe my left hand is forward. I step in and pop and punch, palm up, step back, 1, 2. So for the higher level students, right, this is your Chi Sao footwork, right? When we train all of this Chi Sao, and we go forward, 1, 2. This footwork comes from the Chi Sao. For the beginner students, you just have to think, because I know you don't know Chi Sao at this point, but if you go forward, right, then you get some pressure, it pushes you back, then you're gonna shift so that the pressure can go off the center, right, as opposed to you trying to keep going back and this guy's just following you forward with continual pressure, right? We always wanna do the bull in the matador thing, right, where I'm the matador, and as I go forward, the bull charges, and you know, maybe I go back a little bit, like woo, to reassess what's going on, and then I'm gonna pass him by, whether it be, you know, the cow sao, or maybe the jump sao, or bong sao, or now, today, with the Tsun Sao. So, being able to alleviate pressure using your body structure and the internal center line, not the external, right? The external we just use as a reference, but the internal center line, right? What runs through the bicuspid cavity, this point at the top of your head, right, and goes out through the perineum, right, down through. So you have this internal center line, as if somebody stuck a pole, right through the middle of your body, like that. So that is the pressure that we're dealing with. So when I go forward and I receive pressure, right, then that moves that internal center line, that internal pole, and then I rotate around that pole. And that's an important concept for you guys to be training beginners, intermediate, and advanced students, so that you can actually start to feel that your structure is upright and you're able to move, right, and deliver power and those things by simply rotating the internal center line. Because the minute you start to like put your head down like this or something, then that internal center line changes. And it's not wrong, but for Wing Chun, it's very wrong, all right? For other styles, it's okay. Yeah, but for Wing Chun, we always want to think, you know, we're going forward, right? Internal center is straight up. Now all of a sudden I get pressure and I move. And you can see my body is still upright. I'm able to move, right? Whatever it is, I'm able to move that internal center line around and always see and always be aware of what's going on, okay? So let's start again. The left hand is forward. I step in, Pak and punch. All right, and now from here, I go Tun Sao. I step back, and then I shift and punch. We got Tun Da. So that's the second level, right? So first level is you just do the stuff stationary, right? Maybe you go Pak and punch, and then Tun and punch. All right, these are very, very good ways of training it. So combining the hands, right? Pak and punch, Tun and punch, just like that. And the other side, Pak and punch, and then it comes out, Tun and punch. So whenever we add the punch, we call Da. So Pak is slapping hand or exploding hand. So I go Pak Da, meaning Pak and hit, Pak Da, and then I go Tun Da, same time. So we go Pak Da, Tun Da. Okay. So other side, right hand forward, I go Pak Da, right? And then this comes out and I go Tun Da. Now the other way that you can train stationary for level one, kind of basic level, is that you could just go, right, from the backhand. So for power, right, I go left hand is back, left hand punches forward, and then I shift with the Tun Da, all right? So left hand is back, I punch forward, over, boom, like that, and then I shift and punch, all right? Same thing, right hand is back, right, just like this, right hand is back, right? I punch over, like that, so no Pak, no nothing, I just punch, boom, like that, and now I shift with the Tun Da. Right hand is back, I punch, and I shift with the Tun Da. One more time, I punch, make sure the fist is nice and straight, I open the hand, and then punch. Now, the nice thing about these four particular hands, right? The Jum Sao, right? The Cow Sao, the Bong Sao, and the Tun Sao. The nice thing about those is that even though they are shaped hands, and by shaped hands, what I mean is that you know, you're forming the actual structure, the Wing Chun structure, right? But for me, the Wing Chun structure of the hand is never as important as the energy of what the hand is supposed to be doing. And usually the hand will be the whole arm, right? So like Bong Sao, right? We say wing arm here, even though Sao means hand. So when you're thinking about it, the idea is if I had big boxing gloves on, or like if my hand somehow had gotten broken in the fight, or something like that, and I couldn't use my hands, or maybe I'm just like really, really old someday, you know, go, well, maybe I'm 120, I'm still teaching Wing Chun, but like, you know, your hands don't work so well, and you can't like open them up, or you can't like do certain things with them. The arms will still serve you well, right, because of the energy of the style of that particular hand, right? So if I'm forward and I punch, Jum Sao could just be me turning my arm this way. It doesn't worry about the hand, right? Cow Sao could be that I punched forward and I received this pressure and I just turned the hand. You see that? So even if I had a boxing glove on, right, or even if my hands were kind of hurt and I couldn't open this hand to do, you know, a proper Cow Sao, or even Bong Sao, if I went forward and this went this way and I just turned, there's really no difference between this or this, except what I do afterwards with it, right? But same thing, could be a hammer, right? Could be a fox Sao, so it doesn't matter. Same with the Tun Sao. When I go forward and punch, right, and I turn this, it could be a punch at the same time. So for all of you that are training like practical Wing Chun and you're doing some of the Wing Chun for sparring and sport and those things, you think about it, you go forward, boom. The feeling has not changed, right? Only the shape of the hand has changed. So a lot of people, the minute we put boxing gloves on, right, they look at it and they're like, well, you can't do Wing Chun anymore. That's not true, right? The energy is still the same. Right? It's just how you use that particular energy, right? Okay, so now let's take a look at a couple of things that we can do. So level 2 was stepping in, either with Pak or punch, and then stepping back and doing this. Level 1 is just stationary. So now we'll go level 3. So level 3 is going to be stationary as well, right? So now from here, let's start with the left hand forward, and I Pak and punch like that, and then I go Tun Da, right? And now from here, I'm going to Pak and punch again. So I go like that and I straighten up, right? So I I go forward, left hand forward. So I pock and punch, right? He's on guard this way. So I'm gonna go after that hand. So I pock and punch, right? And now maybe he punches me, or maybe, his other hand is there. So I'm gonna open him up this way. Boom. And then I pock and punch again. Now this one obviously is a little bit easier when you have a partner, but it's good for you to train the muscle memory solo. So left hand forward, right, pock and punch. All right, now the right hand becomes the tan and punch. All right, now left hand opens and I pock and punch. All right, let's try that again. Left hand forward, Pak Dar. Right hand tanda, left hand Pak Dar. Okay, and again, left hand forward. So pak, tan, pak. Okay, one more time on the left side. Ready? Pak, right hand tan, left hand pak. Okay, let's try the right side. Ready? Right hand forward. So I go pak da. The left hand opens. I shift with tanda, and now the right hand opens, and I pak da back to the center. Okay. So again, ready? Right hand forward. I go pak da, tanda, pak da. Right hand forward. Ready? Right hand pocks and punches. I bring it out. The left hand opens, turns. I shift with tanda. Remember, keeping this good structure from the Sun Tao, right? And now the right hand opens, and I pak da. One more time. Ready? Right hand forward. Go pak, tan, pak. Okay, so this is level 3, right? And you could do it with just a punch too. You could also just go either off the backhand, right? And you do this thing, and then you pock afterwards. So I go right hand, I punch, tan, and then I pock. But it's nice to combine the hands, right? Like pock, tan, pock, so you're starting to get more of this kung fu flavor. Now, the other thing that you can do here as well, right, is right now, still stationary, is I can make this into like a little bit of a cycle, right? So I can work both sides of my body and good muscle memory. So from here, right, if I go left hand forward and I go from here, so I go pakta, tanda, and then I go pakta like that, right? Now the right hand is forward. You see that? So now I'm on the other side. So I go pakta, tanda, pakta, and now the left hand is forward. So I go pak, tan, pak, bring it out, pak, tan, pak. So I'm switching every time now, right? So we'll just try this together. I start with the left hand forward, and I go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, and you notice the same concept that we're always talking about is the dim dim chain, right? So it's like, why isn't he going faster? Why, you can train that speed. Like I said, you could go like that. But typically you want to work up to that level and get this dim dim chain, all points clear. So everything is very defined. Boom, it's straight. Good shifting in the stance, good position here. And then coming back to the center, making sure everything is clean in your technique. And that's really what these solo videos should be for, right? So some folks have asked me, well, how come you don't have a partner like demonstrating with you Sifu? Like, because for a lot of people, you don't have a partner at home, right? So for me, giving these videos, I'm assuming that a lot of you are just trying to take these videos and work out something on your own. And that's honestly a good way. Like even here at the school when I'm teaching, like Shisao sections or some of these techniques and stuff, typically I'll put a student in the mirror and I'll have them like work something boom, boom, over and over until their muscle memory looks good and their hands, the shapes are clean. And then we put together with a partner. And, often if they put in the work solo, when you put them with a partner, it fits very nicely, right? It's like gears, you gotta get those things clean and then you put the gears together for the machine to operate. So all the solo training, if you do it very clean, like that, then when you get with a partner and you go bang, 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 like that, it becomes very, very clean. Okay, so just to wrap up, all right, level 1, you try stationary, right? Being able to go forward, right? Either just with the mansao and shifting, right? Or you could pakta, right? And then shift, those things, Level 2, you try stepping in, right? Could be just with the punch and then I go back here, all right? Same thing on the other side, I could go forward and then I go here. So level 2 has a little bit of stepping to it. Level 3, come back to the stationary, and now you start to go weed with the Pak, shift with the tongue, come with the Pak, and then also level 3 going side to side, so left side, right side, so you start to get this nice shift every time going side to side. And then I'd say for level 4, level 4 is just put it together, right? So now maybe you step in with the Pak, you step back, right, with the tongue, and then you step back in, right, just like that. And of course, from here, I could go back to character 2, and now I would be on the other side, like this, and I go back, I step in. So now you're like shifting every time, you're working both sides of the body, right, just like that. So that'll give you a little something to work with. And the nice thing is for the beginners, like if you're brand new to the school and you're like, I have this. Maybe that's all you have of the Sun and Tao is like the stance, and you have this, right? And maybe you have this, and that's it, right? And you're looking at this video and you're like, my God, I can't do any of that. No, that's not true, right? If you have this and you can punch, right? And you can step, even if you couldn't step, you just go stationary, right? You could still go forward, and then you go click like that, and you shift and you punch, right? And you work that over and over and over. For the students that are more advanced, intermediate, and higher level, advanced level, now you get some different things, right? You can go stationary, boom, boom, work all of this stuff, stepping in using the Chisao steps, boom, side to side, going in, all of that stuff. So it starts to connect your body together with a very basic hand, but also some trapping. Now, I'm not going to show on this video because I'm a bit pressed for time today. But one thing for the more advanced students, and even maybe some of the intermediate students, is you can add one more thing, okay? So when you go here, you go Pak, right? And then you step back here, right? And I punch again. Sometimes they're going to push that to the side, so I could go like that, and then I could Pak on the other side. Boom, and I go. All right, so you can start to add some of that progression drill in there from student grade 3, because inevitably they'll either get hit, right, or they're going to try to walk to the side. And when they do that, that offers me an opportunity to do something. And then if they try to block that, then we Pak it again. You get this little cycle, right? So if you're curious about that, you can talk to me in class, and we'll work on that a little bit. Okay, so this kind of wraps up our whole series on the mid-level basics, right? So the Jung Sao, the Kao Sao, the Bong Sao, right? And then now the Tung Sao, right? Being able to add all of those 4 together will give you, a good mid-level sensitivity training and applications as well, right? So, and if you have a partner at home, you could keep it simple. You could just put your fist forward, and then they can either punch to the inside, across, and I go Jung Sao, or they punch to the inside and they push out, and I go Kao Sao, or they punch to the outside, across, and I go Bong Sao, or they punch to the outside to here, and I go Tung Sao, right? And then they can go a little freestyle, so you don't know what they're going to do, right? And you could close your eyes and work on your sensitivity and all of that, because that will help you in your Lot Sao training, boom, 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 being able to do this stuff. It'll help you in your Chi Sao training, right? When you're doing all of that, being able to feel like what is the motion, and then of course your freestyle map Sao when you start to free it up and make connections. And ultimately for your Gore Sao, for the advanced students, when you're using like the Wing Chun at close range for fighting, so you're going through Chi Sao and doing some stuff, but you're not necessarily trying to stick anymore. You're trying to hit and stick sometimes, and then hit. And all of that sensitivity training will help you out if your basics are very clean, so that you don't get hit and you don't get like kind of fumbled up there. Everything should be clean. All right, guys. Well, that is that. So I hope that you train hard and have a good week. All right. Take care.